Right, maybe we can already start, and
Yes.
in any case, this will be recorded, and there's new people coming in. Welcome. So this will be recorded, so everybody can follow everything after. So yeah, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining this second webinar. We have a very special guest today, Vincent from Green Energy from Econocom, and
Hello to
the
all.
title of hi everybody. The title of the webinar is No CapEx Full Control, or Energy as a Service Makes Energy Sovereignty Accessible to All Companies. We're going to maybe start to present a little bit ourselves, and then we can explain you a little bit more what's the subject of this webinar. Myself, I don't know if I need to introduce too much myself, but yeah, basically created Wise Energy a bit more than 5 years ago. And we have a software that helps to make the bridge between the energy market opportunities and the real operational reality of customers, which are B2B, so CNI, SMEs, industries. And the idea is to really make the bridge between financial opportunities and operational reality. And it's super happy to share you some concrete case later on with Vincent, as we are working together for a couple of years. So yeah, Vincent, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yes. Thank you, Julien. Thank you for inviting me to this interesting webinar. So my name is Vincent. I come from France, where we've been growing in within Econocom. Econocom is a company specialized in IT services and leasing for 50 years now. And within Econocom, we have built a business unit called Green and Energy, which is really dedicated to energy as a service, as Gian said, meaning that we finance projects, energy projects for B2B customers. For example, solar PV, battery, EV chargers, or even lighting and HVAC projects. And so it's been 4 years. I'm now in Belgium, and I've been able to build this, let's say, business unit, develop it. And so Julien and Wise Energy is one of our main partner for the installation and the operation and maintenance of such projects in Belgium.
Yes, and yeah, so super happy to show you the case of today, which is about energy as a service. So energy as a service, what is it? A different definition, but in short, it's really combining all the services that the end customer needs. So mainly in our case, CNI companies, and to make sure that they have everything they need to be more energy independent and navigate energy transition, decarbonization. And usually that goes together with financial actors such as Econocom, but which also has this very interesting financial innovation part with leasing financing and different financial financing services, together with a very straight to the point and a sharp operation and EPC services, together also with energy management, where when you combine energy management based on a financial optimization, financial innovation with Econocom, and a good operation and maintenance contract, it really helps for the end customer to have all the toolkit to make sure that they can decarbonize and make the most of their energy assets, basically. So yeah, I think what we can do maybe to move forward is to talk a little bit about the market. The data we show here is something that we showed also last time, but yeah, repetition never hurts. Basically, one of the reasons why we with Wise Energy we built our solution is based on the two figures that we show here. First, when you look really hour by hour, the time when you produce energy, new renewable energy in Belgium, and when you consume energy, you have a match hour by hour around 37% of the time. That means that 60% of the time, almost two-thirds of the time, you actually are consuming energy at a high price. So it's really about sometimes consuming energy just 1 hour before, and you get both a low price and also a low carbon intensity, because carbon intensity of electricity is very much related to energy prices, which is a good news. And that's really a big challenge. It's not only about the electricity you have on site with PV or windmill or else, but also the grid mix. Today is super sunny, at least here near Brussels. And in short, when it's sunny like this, you have a lot of PV production on the grid, and it's now, or it's 10 a.m., so it's maybe not exactly right now. In 1 or 2 hours, it will be even better. It's a good time to actually consume energy, maybe store energy, and really match those times when you have a lot of PV on the grid or on site. And combining both, it's also, of course, possible. And then the second challenge that we work on, and that really is based on this energy as a service solution that we provide together also with Econocom, is the fact that the more renewable on the grid, the more the weather impacts supply of energy. And that means sometimes that the grid can be very much destabilized. And this instability challenge creates actually opportunities. Every time that you help the grid, and I'm talking about the high tension grid, to stabilize, you can generate revenue, basically. So in short, together with a platform which is called the Wise Brain, which is basically an innovative financing platform that can connect to an optimizing system like an EMS, and help to make sure that the energy contract of the end customer, so CNI buildings, can make the most of their energy contract. And in short, here I was talking about 37% matching renewables. Think about low energy bills, so cutting your energy bills. We can go up to 80% of cutting your energy bills, which is a mix of paying less taxes, paying less volumes, and paying energy at a better price. That happens especially when you have a lot of assets on site that you can optimize. It can be heat pumps, EV chargers, of course PV, and so on. And when you do that in the best case scenario, we can go up to 80% of matching renewables, which is a huge advantage both for financial perspective, but also as energy independence with the geopolitical situation at the moment. Of course, it's super interesting to know, okay, how much can you actually optimize, steer, control on your site? So it's a real subject. And then the second challenge, which is also an opportunity, is the fact that every time that the grid has an issue, if they didn't forecast well the weather, and that happens, the weather is difficult to forecast, and there is an event happening on the high tension grid, they need very last minute, they need some help. And every company, or most of companies, have existing assets with existing capex that could help to actually stabilize the grid and generate revenue. In average, it's around 120,000 euros per megawatt per year. Maybe that doesn't talk to everybody, but 1 megawatt is roughly a little bit more than the size of a container. If you are more interested, happy to talk about this in a separate call. It's on the Elia website for Belgium, and it's very clear to understand, okay, with my existing assets, how much money can I leverage, and how will it help the grid also to stabilize. So these are really the two main components we work with. And of course, with Econocom, we have projects where we need to finance new assets, and that's interesting because with our platform, we can easily look at the existing, okay, what can I do with my existing assets? And then on top of that, okay, what happens if I add new assets? If I add a battery, if I add more PV, if I add different assets that help me to have more energy control, energy sovereignty, and keep on being a real energy copilot with customers. So yeah, Vincent.
With a bit more in the context to join what Jean just said before. So this is a forecast of Elia regarding the next 25 years in Belgium, and only in Belgium. And so what we know for sure, and what we can here see, that we're gonna double our consumption. The consumption is really linked to the electrification. This increase, a huge increase, is linked to the electrification of industry, of houses, because we onboard all the gas boilers or diesel boilers. All the industries go to electric, the mobility. which is faces also a huge demand, and then the data center for artificial intelligence. And so this thing gives a forecast regarding a doubling of the consumption by 2050. And in parallel, we're gonna multiply by 6. This is also the forecast of Elia. We'll see in 2050 where we will be. But this multiplication by 6 of the production of electricity from renewables, so solar and wind power plants, means that we increase the volatility in this in the network. So it means that we will have more and more consumption and more production, but sometimes we'll have production when we don't have consumption. And this is a challenge also of our country. It's to have this perfect match between the production and the consumption. And the more you add renewables, the more you add, let's say, in intermittency. So you need to compensate it with battery from the first point that in terms of volume, as you are producing during the day with the solar power plants, and maybe you're not consuming that much, you need to switch from 2 to 4 hours the production to the consumption. And also in terms of frequency, with the flexibility markets, maybe you have heard about it. With Elia, Elia is looking for to have a continuous frequency between 49.8 and 50.2 hertz on the network. Our network is working at 50 hertz, and the more you add renewables, the more chances you have to get out of this range regarding 50 hertz. And so Elia is one of their works is to maintain this frequency at 50 hertz. So this is why the battery is also a challenge for them. It is a role to play for the volume and the sovereignty of Belgium in terms of power capacity and consumption, but also in terms of frequency and grid maintenance, let's say, to keep it at 50 hertz.
And maybe one question for you, Vincent. So you were talking about volatility. How do you see that moving these years on the energy market?
On the emerging market, we see that there is more and more volatility because we see in parallel that there are more and more battery parks installed in all Belgium, across Belgium, but there are also more and more solar PV and wind turbines installed. So it's kind of a double line in parallel growing, and that we need to compensate this volatility with the battery parks and with battery installed at some customers. So maybe the slide after explains it pretty, pretty well, because Elia is also, let's say, forecasting the need in terms of storage. So here you will see three maps. The first one, it's the Belgium forecast regarding consumption and increase of consumption by 2035 here. If you see just below, you see two tables, 2025 projections and updated 2026. So there are a lot of figures, but what you need to understand is that the consumption is quite forecasted. We're gonna double the consumption. The production in terms of wind turbines, so wind energy, will also have to be more invested, mainly in south of Belgium, and the storage is really the big topic here. What we can see that within 1 year, this graph is updated every 6 months on the Elia's website, but you can see that between 2025 projections, it was really last year in April, May, something like this, so same periods, and now the needs of Elia in terms of storage came from 9.8 gigawatts in total capacity installed to 11.3. So it means that even Elia, within 1 year, is seeing more and more needs in terms of power of storage installed. And this 11.3 gigawatts doesn't mean anything to the people, but if you look on the right side, you can see that it's equivalent to 57 mega battery parks. And one battery park is, for example, one in Vilvoorde. You maybe have heard about it. There you have one also in Navagne, near Liège, one in Asselt in construction. And these kind of parks can be only financed by big companies, such as Luminous, Equans, Eneco, Total. And so the goal for Elia is not to have only mega battery parks, I would say, but also smaller battery installations installed at company locations, industries, KMOs, PME, whatever, that can help also the grid. So it will be a bit of a mix. It's not 57 mega battery packs or 130,000 power stacks. It will be a mix of both.
Exactly.
And with Julien, maybe you've heard, we are studying the second part, not the big battery parks, but power stacks at end-to-end B2B customers place.
Yeah, it's very interesting figures, because it's nice that you had this snapshot from before and now after, and you see that Elia is adapting in real time almost their planning, and there will be a nice way probably to combine the graph you have before and this data, and to see also the forecast of battery they have, and that the more renewable is in the grid, the more they need to forecast battery. But it looks also that it is going faster. Renewable energy is deploying faster than planned, so that every 6 months that they need to update and increase that level of battery. So it really seems that
exactly.
there's a lot of things to do.
You see the two first parts are not increasing, not changing from last year projection, but the storage is really increasing a lot in terms of forecast.
And especially for Belgium, it's a big scenario, because nuclear is also not planned, right? There will be some maintenance and so on, but as we see just before, we see that the yellow part of the nuclear is getting down. Nuclear is a huge buffer. We were talking about stability in France, for example. They have a lot of nuclear, so they have more stability on certain subjects. But in short, the fact that by 2036, Elia anticipate the fact that there will be no nuclear. Let's see, maybe that can change, of course. It's not tomorrow, but it's going to happen soon. And the fact that it's going to be more and more weather-dependent energy, that also means that, of course, you need storage. And what is interesting is storage, but also that's the value proposition we have to do together also with Econocom. It's also how do you manage your building. It's a concept we call building as a battery, to really see as for really an end customer, which can be a retail company or an industrial company. What's actually the volume I can optimize myself, I can control without a battery, and that's already something interesting. And then you add a battery on top that really helps to both decrease your energy bills and also help Elia stabilize, following this plan, and make sure we can navigate energy transition. But most importantly, energy transition equals energy sovereignty, financial sovereignty, and it equals also, of course, performance, right? It's not only about decarbonization. It's, of course, super important, but decarbonization here really rhymes with financial performance. So that's super interesting. Vincent, maybe if you want to continue a bit.
Yes, continue this part. Yep. So I was talking about the battery giga storage parks, battery parks. Here we have an example of 2 mega battery parks in construction. It's called the Project Think. They have released some paper recently in the press, and here you can see that the project itself, it's cost around 330 million euros of investment. So not all the companies can invest in this. They're gonna have to put a lot of equity. I think it's 30 million euros of equity and 300 million euros of debt, with many banks that are behind. I think it's 4 or 5 banks behind these projects. And so here's the topic. All the companies cannot invest that much, and Elia cannot support only its energy transition and this volatility with battery parks. And so it links to the second point. Maybe we can go on, Julien, to the capex. The capex is the main topic for it. Many companies restrain their project or their move to the green and their energy transition to keep the control, because they have the capex in mind. They want to keep their credit lines for the co-business, which we understand perfectly. And this is where we can, at Econocom and with the Julien, really give an answer to this first obstacle, meaning that we need to remove the capex as the point not to do the project, not to go on, but as a lever to say, okay, if we keep the control and we give the keys to a company or to a kind of a group of professionals that are expert in it, and we transform this capex into leasing, that in the end I will become the owner of the solution. finally for you, it's quite the same. The project is the same, for the installer, it's the same, and for your energy transition, your energy goals, it's the same. But you give the control to another company that will do the conception, the deployment, the financing, and all the services in it with a contract of operation and maintenance in the same leasing contracts.
Indeed.
Then you have a fixed fee, and you become the owner of your installation with a transfer of ownership. And basically, this is why I think we have had a lot of success in the recent years, because we were here at the beginning with customers facing a huge reality. Should I invest in micro business for my own machines, for example, or for delays or whatever for my own cash machines or refrigerators, whatever, or should I invest in my energy transition?
So it's a very good point. And what is interesting is also is with the leasing financing, in terms of fiscal wise, there is something to do there as well, compared to other solutions. I don't know if you can explain a little bit.
Yeah, you can. So first of all, in terms of subsidy, when you do leasing, you don't abort all the subsidy you can have. You can keep them. You have a green arrêté royal for green investments,
Yep.
and so you can deduct 30% of your investment at the end of the year if you have profitable benefits. And you can also do an OPEX solution. So basically, it's not on your balance sheets. Uh, you have an OPEX as if you were leasing IT, for example, and in the end, you can still become the owner of the solution. So we have many pointing solutions. We really do tailor-made. We can add many also assets in the same leasing contract. For example, you have Julien that can install the batteries itself and EV chargers, for example, and you can put both assets in the same leasing contracts with the purchase option at the end for both projects. So we have many solutions. The goal is really to give the best answer to our customers, to match their needs, and then to give, let's say, to give them the way to accelerate their energy transition.
Yep, indeed, and also to leave some of the other financing options to for other part of the business, like save some credit lines for some other subjects on the business, like a new production line. I mean, yeah, it's what I think is interesting also is this kind of alternative financing option here, that is the leasing financing that helps also to diversify the financing portfolio of companies. So yeah, we are I think super interesting. So indeed, that's what we just discussed also. The financing part, which is tailored and goes together with the subject of today, having really energy as a service. Where I mean, we are working on a couple of projects together for some time, with Vincent, and we really go from A to Z, and it's Econocom doesn't have this approach of just financing and then you don't hear from them. It's really a partnership along the way, and together with operational solution, but also planning, administrative support. It helps the end customer who is sometimes a little bit lost, and it's totally understandable. It's a complex market and process, to really help them along the journey and make sure that both the assets are well installed, but also they are optimized financially, and that the financing option is tailor made. So yeah.
Exactly.
And yeah, that's an important point as well.
Some pros you can
Yep.
show them all, but some pros regarding the financing we offer regarding the cash flow. So basically, when we make a lease contract, we also base our lease contract regarding the forecast of the revenues of all the savings made by the solution. For example, with solar PV installation, you will have a cash flow regarding your energy bills. So you will decrease your energy bills, and this amount of let's say savings you are doing every month on your energy bills are here to pay the solution itself. And so the perfect balance is when you have more energy savings every month than costs you the lease. So the lease is fixed. Obviously, usually we make a flat lease regarding a project for example 5 years, and then you will have more savings for a solar PV installation during the summer than during the winter. But in total, in general, you have a perfect balance. This is first argument. Maybe Julien, you want to?
If I can add on this,
Yeah.
it's indeed interesting because you can look when we have a case after this concrete case where you see the average cash flow. At the same time, I think it's interesting to think that indeed some months can be cash flow negative, but just which asset can you finance that kinds of pays itself somehow.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
quite rare, right? Sometimes we are really focused on the cash flow positive, but we also think it's about a strategic asset. So you're going to have a battery, for example, or PV or any energy transition solutions that energy transition equals energy independence and more manage, more control on your energy, full control as much as possible. But basically, when you do that, it's on top of the financial performance. It's also interesting to have that buffer because if anything happens with geopolitical situations in the future, you also have an operational buffer. Like we will discuss it later probably, and we discussed it last time. In the Netherlands, for example, you have a lot of congestion. That means that basically the grid has really issues to provide electricity that companies and even some citizens need. And for that, suddenly some companies had 1,000 kilowatt of capacity, and suddenly they only have 100. And how do you do to operate machines that need 500, 800 a day in peak demand? So when this happens, the battery at some point first can be pretty interesting in terms of financial performance, and maybe if the grid changes and something that we don't have super much control on how the grid evolves because it's multifactorial. But in short, having that operational buffer also helps to keep on doing a business and being competitive also, maybe compared to other actors. We call that effect the capacity boost, to think that the battery can, of course, help to generate revenue, but also to be safe in terms of the access to electricity capacity, which is a huge topic. It will be more and more on demand. And when your machine needs to run, or electric truck or something, you really need right now 500 kilowatts of energy. The battery can help you having this kind of buffer. So just wanted to add on that.
Yeah, it's a good point, and to react also on this one in Wallonia, but it's also the case in Flanders. We have
Yep.
more and more high tension transform that are really full, meaning that when you ask for a new connection, or if you want to increase your connection capacity from, for example, 250 kVA to 630 kVA, for instance, you can have a delay of 2 to 3 years right now, meaning
Yep.
that it's a really huge topic and a huge challenge also for the DSOs, such as Ores, Reza, Fluvius, and also Sibelga, because we don't have all the time the capacity to give the power, or to give the power 24/7. And this is one of the main reasons DSOs in Wallonia have written and published a new decree called the Decree of Flexibility. And
Yep.
this decree, the goal of this decree is to give end customers the possibility to have this full power, but not all the time. So you need to enter a profile regarding six different times during your year, between winter and summer, during weekdays and weekends, and then you have to respect this profile, meaning that sometimes you will have full power 100%, and sometimes you need to accept to have maybe 50, 70%. This is the next challenge with Ores and Reza, and they are doing a proof of concept nowadays in Suarlé, near Namur, to test this approach, because they have the problem of capacity and electrical capacity for end customers.
Yeah, very good point. That means that, as we explained, energy as a service, it's then interesting to understand, okay, what's the financial performance, taking into account those new constraints, new regulation, and that's what we do together with Vincent as well. We can modelize this also together with our platform Wise Brain. We also help end customers, but also other actors, other EPC in the sector to plan in a smart way those new constraints where as a company you maybe don't have full access to a capacity, and it's both a mix of managing your existing asset, but also dimensioning the right battery for you. Yeah, it's this kind of trends will happen more and more. So it's super interesting. So of course, yeah, the decarbonization part goes together with, as we discussed, the energy independence. It's
You can
really
share, Julien. Yeah, top.
yeah, go for it.
Top.
Yep.
No, okay. So we talked about the cash flow, the decarbonization for sure, scope
Yeah.
2, scope 3. If you are tenant or if you are the lessor, you can also report in terms of a CSR reporting, a CSR objectives in terms of scope 2 or scope 3, the decrease of your CO2 emissions. This diversification of financing, we talked about it. We can include many different assets. We can also look for diverse credit lines with the European actors or local actors. For sure, no VAT pre-financing in the lease, and maybe the last one. Okay, the flexible and scalable solution. Yeah, if we can give you an example, for example, we did in France, but it was led from France, but for all Europe, the project of remodeling all the Maison du Monde shops. So we are talking about 150 shops where we removed and installed 70,000 new LED luminaires, and these luminaires were giving also a nice to have to all the shops because they, I think, almost 40 or 45% of decrease of energy consumption. And so it was one main leasing contract with 150 shops behind, and all the luminaires replaced. The new ones were consuming much less. And so in the end, you had a leasing plan of something like, for example, 10K per month and a monthly advantage of 12 or 13K per month. So you had a positive net cash flow from the first month.
Yep.
Going with the Econocom solution, that everything is paid by Econocom, all the pre-financing, all the down payments to the installers and everything is pre-financed by Econocom. And when the contract starts, after the RGU or array, then you have the first monthly lease fee, but in parallel, at the same time, for the same months, you also have your energy savings on your bills. And so we have this example of scalable possibilities because we can, in the same contract, address many different buildings, different locations, and also different type of assets.
Yeah, that's what's super interesting. Indeed, the LED is not especially something we think at first, but it's indeed a case that pays for itself, kind of. And it's interesting to scan a company and quickly look at those quick wins. And indeed, yeah, doing it at scale is super interesting. So yeah, that goes together with the next part where roughly we present a bit all the ecosystem that Was Energy built, and that's really the idea of bringing all these actors. I'm not going to mention everybody, but the idea is really to have the bridge between energy markets and financial opportunities. So of course, Econocom is a key strategic partner, and super happy to work together with Green Energy Econocom. And with working with kind of the champions of the ecosystem. We are agnostic, right? We work with everybody, and at the same time, we have also some performance result. We can compare some actors on different subjects. You have energy supplier, and we had a webinar with B last time. We have flexibility providers, which will be more the actors for the stability with Elia, and some actors are performing pretty well on that subject. And EMS are really the steering boxes, so those boxes that will optimize on site. We are not an EMS. We are a layer that really helps make the bridge between business, financial performance, and a box that's going to steer assets to make things very simple. And that's something we realize that a lot of those steering box EMS, so energy management system, they don't take into account, for example, the energy contract, and that's a huge gap, right? Because if you optimize something but you don't know exactly the price of it, you can optimize the wrong thing. It's of course not black or white, and depends on which solution. Some solutions are starting to integrate that, but the one of the big power of a tool is those simulation. and we are both helping. We have some end customers we work with. We have some case, but also installers and EPC, where we help them making the right simulation to make sure we can analyze the right financial performance. What happens if I add a battery? What happens if with my EV chargers and my PV, I'm going to inject the energy at the right price? I'm going to reduce my taxes with capacity test tariff, a bit peak shaving. Without going into details, we can run these simulations and quickly get a PDF and make sure that either our EPC partner or the end customer can directly get some savings and financial returns very clear. And of course, we have a close partnership also with carbon audit platforms, with Tapio, Smart to Circle, Decarbonize, and that helps to go from the clouds, let's say, of really analyzing the carbon footprint of a company, understanding from where it comes from. Carbon footprint also equals financial performance. And then on the energy part of the pie chart, we can analyze the data and pretty quickly look at the quick wins, the tens of thousands of euros sometimes that you can just generate just by consuming at the wise time. That's the punchline, but really, consuming at a time where it makes the most sense. And then, of course, we have a platform, and then we can optimize assets and also communicate with the grid. Yeah, maybe we can go quickly to one of the first case that we did together with Vincent. Which so this is a live project. Deltrian, they are making air filters in near Charleroi. So it's a very good case. In short, as we probably repeat ourselves, but the very complementary aspect of Econocom and Wise is the fact that we have financing and also smart energy management innovation that goes together. And that really builds something that builds trust with customers. We have a couple of videos with testimonials as well online. And in short, the project was adding 211 kilowatt peak of panels, 7 EV chargers, an EMS that is steered together with our software that really takes into account the energy contract. And to be very straightforward, the optimization here on site is doing PV curtailment. So in short, at different time of the day, even now it's starting to be more and more sunny. There are times where when there is too much solar energy on the grid, prices of selling that energy back to the grid, injecting on the grid, selling that surplus is negative. That means that if you inject, you're gonna get a fine, basically a penalty. So at that time, we can anticipate that, and together with our partners, we make sure that we curtail. That means that we cut a little bit of the solar production to make sure that we are not going to lose money in selling that energy on the grid. So that's super important because more and more companies today struggle. It's amazing. They have a lot of PV, but suddenly they get actually penalties for that. So it's important to be connected to the energy markets, the financial energy markets, and make sure that you adapt that. The first win, of course, is to self-consume. So that means that using the solar energy as much as possible on site. But once this optimization is done, you often have some surplus, and that surplus needs to be optimized. And we also have it's an ongoing project. Additional self-construction with the EV chargers. In short, when employees are charging, we talk about slow chargers, not a supercharger of 100 kilowatt or
AC chargers. Yes,
exactly, AC charger. In short, for that, we really have the fact that the first hour there is no optimization, but starting from, let's say, it's 9 hours in the morning, and then until 1 or 2 p.m. Many employees sometimes stay even longer, but if they stay until then, what we do is we decrease a little bit the consumption of the EV chargers in the morning when there is less sun, and then more and more solar production there is on site, the more we increase that consumption. So we are not putting that to 0% of charging, but we are making sure we shift without impacting the comfort, the window of charging. And that's something, of course, that we agree with together with the end customer. So that's an ongoing project. It should be live soon. And just together with that smart EMS, let's say the EMS really connected to the reality of the customer and the financial um, uh, energy contract of the customer, we estimated to have around 12% more additional savings on that on the PV part, so not on the total of the savings. So yeah, that's a very interesting case because it really combines the leasing approach and also managing your energy, and we really think it's a double win because you both you're not getting taking money out of your bank credit lines. You have alternative financing, and on top of that you can manage and monitor your performance on site. And then finally, of course, operation and maintenance contracts, including corrective and preventive maintenance. So there is some cleaning of the PV and monitoring. Yeah, Vincent, I don't know if you want to add some stuff on that.
That's it's a really good business case here on a 5-year leasing model, and so the customer faced the same reality than many customers. Okay, should I invest in my own machines for my core business or in the energy transition? And we have an interesting video that where Orion here, the CFO, is explaining
Yep.
his motives to go with us, and this is the main difference also regarding third-party investors that could be a bit similar or could see a bit similar in terms of financing, meaning that they also hold the financing on their part. But the main difference is really regarding the duration of the contract. Most of the contracts with Econocom, we are between 4 and 6 years for the project, battery, solar, and EV chargers, and all the benefits, as said Julien, the benefits, the energy savings, all the revenues. If you go on the FTM, meaning the flexibility market with Elia, are for the end customer. So we don't interfere. We are more here to accelerate energy transition, make it possible, but we don't interfere in the business model of the customer.
Exactly. As you exactly said, it's about keeping the same level of comfort, operational comfort, user comfort, and also in terms of financial credit lines and so on, and optimizing what is on site. And indeed, the key numbers here are in total. If you take really the whole project, it's around 40% of energy savings per year, which are pretty conservative number, but we always like to be a bit more conservative than in general. And some in terms of savings, it's around 42,000 euros per year, which is super interesting, and 35 tons of CO2 avoided. Again, what is very interesting is the fact that the more, of course, you produce solar energy and you self-consume, the less energy you need from the grid, which also means that the self-consumption optimization that we can do with the EMS that is properly set up with WiseBrain, so the software layer that really takes into account the reality of customers, it helps to also go a little bit further in the savings and in the CO2 avoided. So, and as you said, Vincent, for scope 2 and sometimes scope 3 emissions, which also, again, it can also be a financial leverage. It's probably another topic for another webinar. But the fact that the more you decarbonize, the more also you gain in terms of there is some fiscal deduction that you can have, and different leverages that you can have due to the fact that you are reducing your CO2 footprints. So that could be converted again to another financial advantage. And then finally, maybe you, Vincent, you want to talk a bit about the cash flow?
The cash flow. So here I was saying it was on a 5-year leasing contract.
Yep.
And each month the end customer paid a fixed fee, and the benefits, because we have now 1 year of background, and the benefit indeed regarding the price of his energy, the production of the solar power plant, and the auto consumption of the site, brings that you have a netto cash flow of 150 euros per month, excluding VAT. So meaning the project is paid by itself every month, and after 5 years, we can assume that the project was paid by the savings, and then the end customer, Deltrian, is becoming the owner of the global solution, from the panels to the inverters and the EV chargers that go with it. And so after he can, let's say, enjoy the full savings on his energy bills. He doesn't have to pay Econocom anymore, and you have just a residual contract for the OEM, so the maintenance and the maintenance contract for all the assets.
That's indeed a very good point that you raise, is the fact that that's also the topic of the control part of the webinar. The fact that indeed after 5 years, sometimes I think it can be 6 years, but it depends on the case. But in this case, 5 years, you just, for a little percentage, I don't remember exactly which percentage, but very small, it's almost symbolic. You are then owner of the asset, which indeed is different compared to different solutions. We also work, to be fully transparent, with third investors. The model, I think, is a little bit different, because when you have a third party investor, you don't pay anything usually. It's completely realized on your roof, for example, or for a battery, it's next to your high tension cabin. And but usually it's long-term contracts. So you there is a little bit of a risk as the energy market is changing. If you need a part of your roof for yourself, or if you need a part of the battery for your operation, maybe you want to make sure that the duration, you can negotiate that basically. But I think it's really depending on every case. There is some case super interesting for third investors, some for leasing. It seems that for a lot of SMEs, the leasing is interesting because they really have more control on hand. It's a short period of financing. It can be acquired pretty fast, and that way there is both the fact that there is a nice and a financial case, and both combining with the fact that they can have control on it in a short time. So and talking about battery, maybe it's a good
it's another example for a business case with solar and battery itself for the global project. And here you have more than 300 kilowatt peak also of PV and 2 batteries combined. And so this is one example when you transfer the capex into a lease model, that you have a fixed monthly lease over 60 months. One more time for this project, you have a monthly net benefits coming from first of all the solar production and the auto consumption of the solar production based on the quarterly hours data we gather from the customer. And then you have the benefits from the batteries also combined from the BTM perspective. So the on-site optimization and the flexibility markets. So more the outside benefits with the area. And so everything combined, you have an average of more than 5,300 euros per month, and for a fixed monthly of 4,760 euros per month. So the project, it's paid also by itself, and after 5 years, here also you become the owner, or the end customer becomes the owner of the global installation, all the modules and the batteries. And you know that all the modules are now set to be here for minimum 20 years. We can even take assumptions of 25, 30 years, but in all our projections, we take 20 years to be more conservative. And the battery projects, it's around 12 to 15 years. So basically, during 5 years, you have a balance between your savings or your benefits and the lease. You have a small cash flow, positive cash flow, and from year 6, then you enjoy the full project for yourself for more years than lasted the leasing. So it's really a win-win combination. And in this example, the customer can also preserve this cash for his core business.
Exactly, it's a very good point. The fact that you can have more cash for other decarbonization projects also, maybe that's or for the business, of course, but also the fact that after 5 years, usually it's for with 1% of the total project, or one monthly leasing, you acquire the ownership. So it's pretty interesting. Of course, also important, I think, to mention that it's an average cash flow. So in the winter, it's possible that you generate less, but there is less sun. There is PV production is pretty small. So you have also some sort of a seasonal gap to think about. But all in all, it's interesting. One season can compensate the other in this case. And as I mentioned also, Sometimes we really want to have this net cash flow positive, which is of course the best case. But sometimes, because maybe you as a retail company, you already invested in PV, it's possible that on the battery itself, it's not exactly a net cash flow positive. But what is interesting is to look really at the strategic asset that the battery is today, and look into account that number, but also all the aspect of the battery where we can help you together, Econocom and Wise, to maybe year by year review a little bit your financial performance and maybe adapt or advise you on maybe new strategy, having a little bit of the battery to keep for your operation, for example, and another one more for the trading markets. Something to look, I think, case by case, and as the geopolitical perspective and market situation is changing, it's nice to have a view on that and adapt. And yeah, together with Vincent, we can really be your energy partner on this. So that's super important. Yeah, maybe we'll go to the Q&A, because I see it's already 10:52. But yes, so here are some of our references. So we have many end customer. These are just some of our references. For example, we started to work also with Maison d'Endroit, more their headquarters, where they really build craft and create the biscuits. So it's a mix really of retails, industries, as you saw, ArcelorMittal as well, Trendy Foods also near Liège. We have very interesting case. We don't have time to go all over them. Yeah, and Vincent, if you want to.
Econocom also some references. A part of them we did with Julien. So Wise is also completely independent from Econocom. We are partners, who are preferred partners, as we say, but we can also do a project on our own or with other partners or customers that come to see us with a quote and wants a lease. And Julien also has his own customer from himself. But we can say that part of these references are done together.
Exactly, and on top of that, also we work with different EPC, famous EPC in the Benelux, and we help them also with the software navigate all the financial topics and do the right simulations, and indeed, so we work with everybody, and historically wise, we have a lot of projects, and there is a lot to do still. Yeah, again, maybe not going to go too much into detail. Some cases I already presented on the last webinar, but the new one with d'Endroit, for example, where we will very shortly increase the self-consumption. They have a good amount of panels. They are not self-consuming that much, but together with their heat pumps on their cold storage, we can increase that self-consumption. So without any new capex, we can do interesting savings. And we are in discussion and in study for a battery case together financed with Econocom. So that's in discussion. But yeah, the picture here doesn't represent where it is. It's not there. It's rather in their headquarters where they consume more energy. But yeah, it was just a little reference. So yeah, it's only 5 minutes left. Sorry for that, but yeah, if you thanks for your attention first, and if you have any questions, feel free. Right, we have Michael De Vries. How does the situation in the Middle East affect the energy market for you? Do you see companies being more ready for the energy transition or still slow to adapt? So, of course, any news about the thanks, Emir.
Thanks.
So the news about geopolitical movements, of course, always increase the interest because it's not only on the on the fact that prices are rising, but also we don't know what's going to happen, right? But yeah, in short, we see prices of oil increasing, gas as well. Electricity, at least in Belgium, is indexed to the electricity prices. There is not a huge increase, but there is a trend upwards at the moment. So it definitely triggers some questions, and it helps, I think, to understand that it's even the numbers we have today. In 2 months, if again there is another conflict, the business case, maybe you win 1 year in your return on investment or your cash flow, net cash flow. So we are usually taking into account kind of a conservative approach, but you can always have a little bit more of optimistic approach somehow. I'm not saying it's a positive situation what's happening, of course, but if you think about the more the energy prices increases, but the more you better have your energy under control, whether it is a software or a battery or both. But yeah, that's definitely triggers some interest there. So yeah, we will monitor this closely. Yeah.
The answer really is to be the more independent it can be. So
Yep.
Belgium as a country is not fully independent, meaning we are independent at 83% in terms of electricity. So meaning that we depend at 17% from our neighbors, first France, it's 10%, and a bit of Netherlands and Germany. So this is the first level. So Belgium is not independent from the electricity point of view, and then the companies. How are your companies independent from these fluctuations of energy? Are you still relying on gas and diesel, for example? But my suggestions would be if you can go to a full electricity and if you can go at the same time to production and be a bit more autonomous on the grids, go for it. You won't regret it. And in this period of time, I think the companies that have invested in the past see more, let's say, more flexibility, more easy way to continue their business and not dependent from the gas volatility and the diesel volatility due to Trump and
Yep.
or geopolitical.
And
Say,
it's good bridge to what I was thinking is indeed more and more companies are moving to electric vehicles, right? Which goes together with oil prices and so on. And it's also having your HR budget on a control, right? So what is interesting is together with that, when you have EV charger on site, you can optimize that as well. But just the fact that you are bringing more electric vehicles, there are some actually help called the EV ticket between brackets that subsidize kind of your electrification of your fleet. If you're interested, we can discuss it on a separate call. It's another topic, but it's just another layer, another value stack, let's say, financially speaking, where you can look at your electrification plan and look, okay, if I have 10 more electric vehicles plus 6-7 EV chargers, then you know it can be partially financed thanks to those help, but also the business case starts to be more and more interesting because the price of oil and gas is very high, so the return on investment also is also super sharp. So I don't know if somebody has another question. Nice. Okay, Samir. If I can further ask on the question of Michael, energy becomes more and more business risk. So you might want to switch sources purely on risk analysis. That's correct. Are customers directly approaching you for this? In general, it is a bad idea to depend on oil and gas since no European country is in full control. Completely agree, of course. We talk between, I think, like-minded people. And
it's a good question.
Yeah,
I would say that
go for it.
recently, I didn't have a lot of customers coming to see us regarding this independency and this research of independency. I think because also there is a small delay regarding the start of the crisis in late February, beginning of March, and nowadays. But I have topics like this with my customers during presentations or so on, but we don't have a lot of customers coming to us with this main reason. But this, let's say, argument comes into the speech. I would say that people realize that they need to take the control and to take control of the company and take control of the cost, the OPEC costs. And in Belgium, you have huge opportunity in terms of production and in terms of decarbonization. So it brings to the sovereignty of their building, but it's not the first reason why they come to us. Maybe in 3 months or 6 months, I would have a different answer.
It's a very, very good point, and to jump on that, and we have another question after. But I like what you said, Vincent. Indeed, we see from end customer point of view that the independence wording is not often happening. I think it's going to happen more and more because indeed it's not only about the financial case, but also the risk that a lot of things can change. But indeed, I think with everything that's happening now, it will become more and more top of the mind. So yeah, just to agree on that. But okay, and Axel van Stridonk, from a grid system point of view, it's great to see more decentralized solutions to grid issues, especially looking at local issues such as congestion. Thanks for presentation, but thanks Axel. Happy to discuss it further later. And indeed, the decentralized solution about congestion is key. Without going too much into detail, we talked about Elia, right? Was stability issues. Congestion goes more on the medium voltage, medium tension and low tension grid. But also on that grid, as we mentioned, we have a flexibility, a contract coming on more on that aspect. But also there will be congestion, let's say financial case to build later on. In short, in the UK, they've been doing that already. For example, in London, without going into much details, it's also a way to think of batteries to help locally your neighbors, if you want, like even the industrial neighbors, commercial neighbors, and to make sure that there is this optimization made to make sure that everybody has the right power. So yeah, battery can help there. Software needs to be implemented as well. But there is a lot of topics first to solve locally, really on your site, and then of course on a kind of a mutual congestion part on the community level. Yeah, there is also things to do there. Right. If there is no further questions, I think we can wrap it up. Thanks a lot for watching.
Thanks a lot. Yeah.
For everybody watching later at home or. But yeah, see you for the next webinar. Take care. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Julien, for the invitation. Bye. Have a good day.
Bye.